You want to see things from the mountaintop, right? Well, according to Vedanta, these are the four main ways to ascend to the mountaintop. Ideally, we recommend combining these four main methods, or alternating between them, for the integral development of body, mind, and soul. Karma Yoga is the path of physical action, and so it suits people with active temperaments. To practice this path involves performing actions selflessly, without thinking too much of success or reward. And this purifies the heart and reduces the ego. Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of devotion and is perfect for people who are more emotional by nature. Through prayer, worship, and ritual, one comes to see the divine as the embodiment of love. Chanting mantras, doing rituals, and prayer are essential parts of Bhakti Yoga. Jnana Yoga is the yoga of wisdom and philosophy, and this path is most suitable for intellectual people. The philosophy of Vedanta teaches analytical self-enquiry into one's own true nature, with the goal of recognizing the supreme self in oneself and in all beings. Raja Yoga, the fourth way to get to the mountaintop, is the science of silencing the mind and directing the flow of vital energies. The body postures and breathing exercises it employs are an integral part of this yoga path, but the main practice of Raja Yoga is silent meditation. According to Swami Vivekananda, our main problem is to be free. It is evident then that until we realize ourselves as the Absolute, we cannot truly be free. Yet there are various ways of attaining to this realization. These methods have the generic name of yoga. These yogas, though divided into various groups, can principally be classified into four, and as each is only a method leading indirectly to the realization of the Absolute, they are suited to different temperaments. Now, it must be remembered that it is not that the assumed man becomes the real man or Absolute. There is no becoming with the Absolute. It is ever free, ever perfect. But the ignorance that has covered its nature for a time is to be removed. Therefore, the whole scope of all systems of yoga is to clear up this ignorance and allow the inner self to restore its own nature. The chief helps in this liberation are abhyasa and vairagya, non-attachment to life, because it is the will to enjoy that brings all this bondage in its train, and a constant practice of any one of the yogas. Karma Yoga is purifying the mind by means of work. Now, if any work is done, good or bad, it must produce a result of good or bad effect. No power can stay once the cause is present. Therefore, good action, producing good karma, and bad action, producing bad karma, the soul will go on in eternal bondage without ever hoping for deliverance. Now, karma belongs only to the body or the mind, never to the soul itself. Only it can cast a veil before the soul. The veil cast by bad karma is ignorance. Good karma has the power to strengthen your moral powers, and thus it creates non-attachment. It destroys the tendency towards bad karma, and thereby purifies the mind. But if the work is done with the intention of enjoyment, it then produces only that very enjoyment, and does not purify the mind. Therefore, all work should be done without any desire to enjoy the fruits of the work. All fear and all desire to enjoy, here or hereafter, must be banished forever by the karma yogi. Moreover, this karma without desire of return, will destroy selfishness, which is the root of all bondage. The watchword of the karma yogi is, not I, but thou. And no amount of self-sacrifice is too much for him. But he does this without any desire to go to heaven, or gain any sort of fame, or any other benefit in this world. Although the explanation and rationale of this unselfish work is only in Jnana Yoga, yet the natural divinity of man makes him love all self-sacrifice simply for the good of others, without any ulterior motive, whatever his creed or opinion. Again, with many, the bondage of wealth is very great, and karma yoga is absolutely necessary for them, as breaking the crystallization that has gathered around their love of money. Next is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti, or worship, and the love, in some form or other, is the easiest, most pleasant, and most natural way. The natural state of this universe is attraction, and that is surely followed by an ultimate disunion. Even so, love is the natural impetus of union in the human heart, and though itself is a great cause of misery, properly directed towards the proper object, it brings deliverance. The object of bhakti is God. Love cannot be without a subject and an object. The object of love, again, must be at first a being who can reciprocate our love. Therefore, the God of love must be in some sense a human God. He must be a God of love. Aside from the question of whether or not such a God exists, it is a fact that to those who have love in their hearts, this absolute appears as a God of love. Next is Raja Yoga. This yoga fits in with every one of these other yogas. It fits inquirers of all classes, with or without any belief, and it is the real instrument of religious inquiry. As each science has its particular method of investigation, so is this Raja Yoga the method of religion. This science also is variously applied according to various constitutions. The chief parts are breathing exercises, concentration, and meditations. For those who believe in God, a symbolic name such as Om or other sacred words received from a teacher will be very helpful. Om is the greatest, meaning the absolute. Meditating on the meaning of these holy names while repeating them is the chief practice. Next is Jnana Yoga. This is divided into three parts. First, hearing the truth, that the soul is the only true reality, and that everything else is relatively an illusion. Second, reasoning upon this philosophy from all points of view. And then third, giving up all further argumentation and realizing the truth. This realization comes from, first, being certain that God is real and everything else is unreal. Second, giving up all desire for enjoyment. Third, controlling the senses and the mind. And fourth, intense desire to be free. Meditating on this reality always, and reminding the soul of its real nature as one with God. These are the only ways in this yoga. It is the highest but most difficult. Many people get an intellectual grasp of it, but very few attain realization.